What's up? Yesterday I wrote this neat synth riff. But I also realized it sounds really cool, slowed down, played on bass with a little bit of swing to it. So I'm going to follow this vibe and see where we end up. First, we'll track a couple bars of that bass line to a click. Alright, I think that's a good place to start. Now let's head over to the drums. Alright, I'm getting sleepy. I'm going to try to lay down a little Rhodes piano before I call it a night. Just before I called it a night on that session, I came up with this little riff. And it was the perfect way to transition to this next bass line idea I had. Alright, we're finally moving on to guitar. I've been so excited to lay some guitar down on this track. Gonna use the RP400 to get some univibe style effects that I can control the speed with our foot lever here. I'm excited. Okay, got the Jimmy Strat. Fun fact about this song, it is in D sharp standard tuning, which is something that I haven't used since I used to play Green Day songs when I was a teenager. I'm very much just an E standard or a drop D person. I don't really do a whole lot of alternate tunings. If you've never worked in a studio before, it's a lot of this. Alright, I think we're okay. As long as I don't trip over my own gear. Before I call it good for the guitar, I'm just going to do some improvising around, kind of follow what the electric piano is doing. Just kind of chugging away on... That's what we're doing. where that little lick came from, but I like it. Boomer bends. Bend it to the sky. Oh God, what the fuck am I doing? Break time. I gotta go feed my cat.
Oh, that's a good boy. You get your num-nums. Yeah. Love you.
I'm feeling pretty good about where we're at right now. I'm going to put on my producer cap, do a little bit of editing and arranging on this, and we'll meet back here when we're ready to come up with the next part of this song. See you in a sec. Okay, it is a couple days later. Yes, my hair needs a bit of a touch-up. I have been messing around with the structure of this. I've added a second verse, which is just repeating the first one again with some minor edits. I have had the bass line for this song stuck in my head for the entire time I haven't been working on this, so I think that's a good sign that this is a good song, hopefully. I hope it's a good song. I tried to do some vocals on this, but I wasn't really liking it, and because this is my first time writing a song on camera, the full process, I'm not quite vulnerable enough yet to show that. So I think the song is basically just going to kind of be a jam where each instrument has its own time to shine. In the first verse, the electric piano seems to be the star of the show. I went pretty crazy on that. In the second verse, I would like a tone wheel organ to be the star, and so I'm going to go through and record a more chill piano part for this so that it's not the same as the first verse, just smashing keys all over the place. So some of the things I've done since last time are filling out that B section with a little bit of guitar. And so there's the transition back into the A part. And then I recorded a second version of the guitar chords, just playing through those different voicings of B's. B's, the guitar's got B's. Oh, and this time I switched to a vibrato effect instead of a rotary effect. And this is where that little surprise guitar lick ended up. The transition out of this part is similar to the first one, but since I want something new to happen after this, we repeat it and we go up a fourth. That's what we've done since last time, so let's record some chill electric piano and some not very chill drawbar organ. So now we're going to record the organ tracks. My favorite organ is actually the vintage B3 that comes in Logic Pro. And what I do is I essentially treat it like an external instrument. I have MIDI coming into it from my MIDI controller, and I'm outputting to outputs 5 and 6 on the same audio interface that I'm using inside Live here. So I have patch cables running from outputs 5 and 6 on the audio interface to inputs 1 and 2. And the organ is simply recorded as if it were a real instrument. I don't save any of the MIDI inside Logic here. I'm just using it in monitoring mode and recording the sound that comes out of it straight into Ableton. I originally planned on having another section in the song so that there could be a guitar solo, but that organ flourish I did there really sounds like an ending. And overall, I think the song flows pretty well in its current structure. So I think I'm going to call it good on the arrangement, and we're going to move on to production now.
Okay, here we are. I'm going to give this a quick listen while I go through and look at any of the processing I've already done while writing the song. Okay, not bad. I hear some frequencies in the organ that I don't really like. They're kind of harsh to me. It seems I already tried to clean up a little here, but I think the amp simulation, probably the compression, and maybe even the reverb a little brought some of it back out. So I'm going to place another EQ after our amp here. And you know what, we'll do it after our, this is just a volume boost. And it doesn't look like I was doing a whole lot with the compressor here. Well, we'll see in a second, but let's look at this spectrum here. This part right here really has it. Let's sweep around and see if we can find just about where that is. Oh, I kind of got it right away. Oh, we have not turned monitoring on in Ableton. This just means that when I select a band here, I am hearing just that band as we move it. So yeah, the usual technique here is to just boost it as high as it'll go and find where it really starts ringing. And now we're going to pull it out. So we've really accentuated that. Now we're going to pull that all the way down. Okay. And now we're not going to pull it all the way down because we're going to pull it up a little and widen the resonance of it a little bit. So we catch a few other frequencies. Oops. We'll turn it off and compare. It's not a huge difference, but it's definitely there and keeps it from kind of piercing in my ears there. I do notice we're still getting a little bit of low end over here. This could be, sometimes plugins do this. They just, they output some signal in a non-audible frequency. And so it's kind of best practice. I'm talking like I'm an expert here, but as I've been taught and what I practice is it's always good to get rid of any frequencies that aren't part of the sound of that instrument. So if you've got something that's sitting in the mids, but for some reason, whatever you're using is giving a harsh high end or a harsh low end that has nothing to do with the music itself, but is just noise, it's usually good to just sculpt anything that isn't part of the instrument itself out. You can see that's what I did here. Is this was, if we get rid of that and we'll unmute this. But I suppose we have to do this if we want to still see it. So you can see that there were really some, well, let's find a different part of this just so we're not listening to that same thing. So you can see most of our information is happening here. And we have a bass. We don't need the organ to fill up the bass area. So we're just, I cut a good amount of that off. I started cutting it at 60 hertz. That's where I was taught. I can't remember which master class I learned that in, but a common thing will be people will tell you to cut 60 hertz and under. So we've done that, and then I saw we had, we had 6, so that was, That was probably at the, I don't know, I must have been hearing something there that I didn't like, but I'm not hearing it now. But I sort of paired that out with the low pass filter, but real up high, just kind of killing off anything that would be out of hearing range that we can't hear right now, but maybe some things that we add to the process later could bring them out in a way that is undesirable. So it was probably just a little bit of cleanup there. Let's take a look at this compressor and see how hard I have it working. But I love the sound of a rotary speaker. I am just such a sucker for the Doppler effect. I really am. Seems I was using it to add a little bit of brightness too. I'm going to back it off a little because I hear a little crunchiness happening. And again, I'm going to use this time a high shelf. I think that's pretty good. You can see I mixed a few takes here with that flourish because I didn't get it right the first time I did it. This doesn't make a click here, does it? No. Okay. Making sure you got to check that. Sometimes when you do a punch in or second take on something, you might have a click there. You got to make sure it doesn't happen. Okay, so I think I'm happy with the organ right now. The second thing I'll probably want to look at is electric piano. As far as I haven't done anything on this yet, other than the tremolo we put on it. This is an auto pan effect in Ableton, but I have the phase set to 0 on both, so it doesn't do any stereo panning. I'm just using this as a mono volume modulation. So tremolo, as we call it. You can see a bunch of stuff there that we're not gonna hear that at all. I might even, you know what, I'm gonna take that away before the amp simulator. This is something that you can do just to your own taste, but amp simulators especially, like anything with some kind of distortion processing, they will really respond differently depending on what sonic information you're feeding them, even if that's not something that you're hearing. So an amp or a distortion may get dirtier when it has more low end to it, even if you're not hearing that low end in the final signal. So it's very important to check whether you want to clean something up before the signal or after it, because if you go and clean it up before it, you may lose the tonality that you had. A certain flavor of distortion you may have may sound very different once you remove the bass out of it. So you'll want to experiment with whether you have that before or after some kind of effect. So here I think I'm going to go before it, unless it changes this amp sound too much. Let's see what it sounds like when done on this side. Put another EQ after it to see the spectrum here. It's definitely more pronounced if I do it afterwards. The amp simulator is really bringing back any bass that I had cut out. So let's get rid of that and just go with processing after the amp. I'm going to remove a little bit of this high end up here and cut off the very, very highest of stuff. Let's find some held out parts. Okay, we'll listen to how that sounds in context. I'm going to mute the organ though, because since it's the lead instrument right now, I think it'll be a little distracting. Okay, let's look at the bass now. There probably won't be a whole lot of processing done on here because I like a very simple bass sound. As you can see, I've just got an amp simulator going here and guitar rig. And I doubt I've even done much to this other than probably dial in some of the gain and drive. Don't think there's really much else I need to do to the bass. It's pretty good. It's pretty consistent. I've got a compressor here to catch some of the higher peaks. It looks like we're clipping it there. So let's actually, we'll bring our overall volume down after the EQ. Okay, so guitar is up next. Again, the first thing I'm going to do here is just sculpt out some of what we don't need. Again, sucker for rotary. That's just playing a bunch of different voicings of B flat through rotary, and I'm a sucker for it. Guitar tone sounds good. I mean, this is a go-to guitar sound for me, so there's not really much I have to do to it. Sounds good. We'll probably just do the exact same to the other guitars. We're going to copy this over here, holding Alt. And as long as when we listen to this, there's nothing wrong, then we can leave it how it is. If there's something that it's getting in the way of, we can tweak it from there. Nothing there. I love that riff. I put some slap back on that, but I honestly kind of want to stick a spring reverb in there. That one sound better, or does this one sound better? This one sounds more squishy. I think we're going to try putting the slapback echo in what would essentially be the effects loop of this amp. I'd like it to sound more like a pedal or a rack unit that's sitting on the amp, other than this sort of virtual space we get from putting a delay after the amp. Okay, that sounds pretty good to me. Okay, so let's hear how everything sounds together like that. Guitar's a little loud. Let's see if it's also loud later. It's just loud up here, so we're going to do some volume automation. We do automation with the gain knob on the utility so that our mixer can stay the overall volume of the track. We're going to make some markers here. And we're going to bring down a little bit. Actually, we seem to have nailed it the first time. That sounds pretty good to me. Most of that sounds good. Actually, I think all of that sounds good. Now that we've sculpted our sounds, I'm going to start panning them around the mix. This is where I sort of picture in my head where these band members would be if I were listening to them play this song in a room. The drums are probably at the center back of the room. The keyboard players might be set up here with the guitar players set up like this. And we think about how the sound coming out of those instruments would hit our ears. So I'm going to adjust the panning of these instruments to move them around in this virtual space we're creating. The only objection here is the bass guitar. It's pretty typical to put the bass guitar in the center of the mix so that it's even on both sides and you don't get any phase cancellation issues dropping it out. But just because it's conventional doesn't mean you have to do it. Pan your bass wherever you'd like. Break the rules. The electric piano player is probably going to be to our left a little bit. Our organ is going to be off to the right a little. So we're going to call these both guitar 1 and this guitar 2. These are just here for no overlapping. Our first guitar we want further over to the left. And we want our second guitar player over to the right, maybe a bit more than the first one is to the left. You're going to listen to this while just thinking of our stereo spectrum here. That sounds pretty comfortable to me. That sounds like I want it to. Again, we're not doing anything to the drums because everything is panned already inside of Superior Drummer. Now we're going to move on to something special that just I like to do. We're going to place a microphone up by the ceiling of our studio on the opposite side of where our monitors are. We're going for a real virtual room sound here. If this band were playing in a space and what the room mics would be picking up at the time if the band would all be playing together. We're going to make 2 new tracks. We're going to name them Room Left and Room Right. We're going to set these channels to where that microphone is plugged into on our interface. What's really important is that when we go to record each of these, we have to go to the master bus. In our utility, we're going to choose whether our speakers are outputting just the left side of the mix through both speakers or just the right side of the mix for both speakers. And you want to do that for each respective side of this room track. Each of these tracks should only contain that side of the mix. Now we record one of the sides. I'm going to start with the left. Now we just sit back and let this record. Okay, now we're going to swing the mic to the other side of the room. This may be unnecessary. I just like to think it catches some slight different reflections than you would usually get if you recorded both to the exact same microphone spot. Since this is fake and we're doing it all in the computer, we don't have to worry about any phasing issues. We can fix that if we need to. Okay, now we're going to mute that track. We don't want what we just did to be picked up on this mic. They're supposed to be 2 separate microphones. We're just faking it here. So we'll change the utility over to right, arm this track, and record again. We have both tracks recorded. We're going back to stereo on our utility here. First thing we want to do, we're going to listen to these tracks soloed and center in the mix to make sure there's no phase issues here. I don't hear any phase issues. Okay, so we're going to pan each of them hard, left and right. Again, these are our fake stereo microphones in the room. So now we have our left microphone that's caught the stuff from the left, our right microphone that's caught the stuff from the right. Now I'm going to EQ a lot of stuff out of this because we don't need it that bright or that muddy. We just want sort of a bed that makes it sound like everything was done at the same time. Now I'm going to mix it into a point where it feels natural. I don't know, for me it just adds something a reverb plugin doesn't. A sort of cohesiveness that makes it sound like it wasn't just one person in her studio alone. Now I just treat the send reverb channel as if it were a chamber or a plate send in a real studio. For plate emulation, I'm using vintage verb, golden short plate it looks like for this one. And now I'm going to mix stuff into that to taste. Everything was still pretty much good from where I had it set before while I was composing the song. So I think that's it. I think we're done. Let's listen to it. Well, that's our song. We saw a different direction and we took it all the way to the end. Don't be afraid to change course. Your first idea doesn't have to be the one you stick with. That was a fun little keyboard riff, but I like it a lot better like this. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this in some way or got some information out of it that you didn't have before. This is my first time documenting the full songwriting process from start to finish. It was very different than I thought it would be. It was kind of weird. I'm not used to being vulnerable and showing people the process of how I do things because I always feel like I'm going to be judged for doing it badly. I was going to retake that one, but that's what it really is, isn't it? As an artist, when we release something, we're opening ourselves up to allowing anybody to critique and pick apart our work to our finest insecure details. Again, thanks for watching. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed this. Comment below what you thought, if you have any ideas, things I should have done differently, techniques you like to use. Let me know. This is Be the Airplane signing off. Godspeed.